Kenny Harms, contract review.
I'll just start out with if there's any questions you guys want answered before I go on with my view. I have 9 invoices here dating back from when this started. I started with the oldest. I would have made copies, but I learned about the meeting about 10 minutes before it was time. These are some of the older ones. The storm drain that we inspected, that would have been up there by the school. The hayloft line that runs from the back of the hayloft to Main Street, that's another one, and we have cleaned that as a routine maintenance hill. Me and Rick went down through there a while back after I think me and Rob had the little bill at his store. We went through it again. Swimming pool to deal with the cement drain hole. We inspected that pipe to see the condition of that. These are all together. I'll get to those here in a second. Here's the other deal on that jetter deal for the hayloft. We went 163 feet from rear of hayloft to Main Street, and then also we headed south and went down Main Street to the south manhole down there. It was 146 feet. We shot that one too. Because we went the lower one behind the hayloft. It usually knocks reeds loose and you gotta chase it. This is for the Camry on that mini storage back behind Chris's mini storage. We cambered down towards Gus's, and the condition of the pipe was in the transitions between pipe were so bad that the 2-inch skid couldn't make it over the transitions, and we haven't been back up there to try the 4-inch. So I'm hoping the 4-inch will make it through there. If not, I'm going to add some skids to it to raise it up so it will actually reach above those transitions. It's just something we haven't had to work with. The other one that I think is on here, I don't have it here, but we did do some cameras from the lift station by Frederickson's there, down on the corner, and ran up south towards, well, it's Fred's house. Jason Frederickson, the house there. We ran up there. There's a farm, or a regular sewer tile that ties in and then runs up towards Gus's and catches all the houses, no cooks, and on up to like this state shed up there, and I can't remember his name up there. His building. Yeah. And I got the video of it if you guys would like to watch it. I mean, we don't have to do it tonight, but when we ran up through there, as we neared the line that runs east up there towards Gussie's, there was a lot of clear water running out through there. When we got past it, there wasn't nothing, hardly anything at all coming out through there. So it's the majority of the water that's coming through that pipe is coming up from that short run with hardly anybody on it. And I did bring my camera down, so outside there I didn't bring it in. The others would be the lift station at Cookies, and I heard there was some discussion about that. And I don't know if you guys have any questions, and I do have one other one. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, we were up there at the nursing home. They had 4-inch water. And when I went out, and right out there, first house down, there's a manhole there. Me and Jason were there. We looked inside the manhole, from that manhole down to Brian Bieleman's mom's house. There's a manhole there. There was hardly any water coming out, so there was a blockage from there up to that manhole right outside the nursing home. So we cleaned that out, and then the nursing home had some grease clog issues that I took care of with a jetter from that manhole. I jetted all the way up to the building and then ran 7 feet out, which is a separate deal, but that's what I've done so far, as far as, and there's like 10 invoices that, there's 9 here, but there's 10 total. So, and Rick wanted to get back up there and camera that thing maybe a little further. When I get to put the 4-inch skid on it and maybe shoot down from behind Gus's down towards that lift station where that run is, and then camber up the other way.
Down by Faber's?
It'll be up towards Gus's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the other way would be down towards Faber's.
Yeah.
But what I have concern with is there's a manhole there right behind Gus's. There's two lines that come in there. And there's only one that exits out. If everything that runs up there, like behind Cook's and up there, if that runs all the way up that, along that back behind the storage and further up, then what's that other line for? I can't see any reason why they would cut across the field and then tie another line. And there is quite a lot of water coming through that one too.
You know, John?
I don't know, but I know that Darryl Potta was one that put it in.
And
he's not here
to
tonight.
figure out kind of where that, it'd be nice to know, because I can't see that they would cut across the field to tie another line in when they put the last building out there and the church stuff. I couldn't see them cut catty corner and then put another separate line in, because everything that's up north of Grody's on that line runs into that manhole, and that runs down along behind Old Cook's and all those other houses back there.
Did you ever talk to Darryl? Because you came in talking about it.
So, and the other one that comes from the west into that lift station runs just as heavy, and it's clear water. So you got a large amount of water coming in there. And the video of that, if you guys want to see it, I'd be more than happy to show you. And you can notice the difference. When you come up to the pipe, you can see the water's clear over the camera. It's clear water. You can see plain as day in the water. As you get to the other side of it, there's nothing coming out. Just a small trickle.
Now, when you get up to behind these sheds up there, the rental sheds,
There's water, clear water coming down.
is there
through
water coming
Yeah,
down?
there's
that
also
chute?
infiltration in that manhole that comes in around the pipe where it's hooked in, where it enters and exits. There's always water running in around those, so there's groundwater seeping in there. And I suppose when it's wetter, it's worse, but last time we were up there, it wasn't as bad, but of course, it was colder, so. And then my last one's where the lift station deal for cookies up there. So,
Well, I know when we put the line, because John Healy did that line from Kroger's lift station north. And when we come across that tile, there was a lot of water. Then,
I know Darryl said they was working on one all the time, they were laying pipe.
yeah,
Yeah, it was nice.
so
Maybe just treat him and make him look nice.
we replaced it with PVC or something. It was tile.
I read something past John, I thought when you did that new addition, maybe there was something you could do to fix the issue with that pipe. If you went down and connected everybody in on a new line, and then somehow tied it in with that new addition, that would eliminate that misaligned tile down through there. It is fairly wet through there, and the tile, there's about a half-inch lip. Just about every intersection you come to where there's a connection, there's a half-inch lip. And all that does is, and that's running, the water's running against that. So it acts like a sieve, so anything that goes by, it just ends up stacking up and catching. It's kind of like when you're panning for gold or you're panning, you know, all the heavy stuff sticks right in there. And most of the stuff that I was running through on the other one, where that stuff hung up, when you get into that, you're just pushing sludge because there's sediment in the line. As you go over the hump, and then you go into the next pipe, there's sediment that's built up as you go back in, and then you push that. And then once you get to the next section, then you can see again. It just kind of keeps going. It's kind of like a stair-step effect.
Kind of like a mini roller coaster type thing.
Yeah, it's just, as you go about 3 foot, there's another step up. Then you go 3 foot, another step up, a piper.
Really?
And you've seen yours with the clay when we cambered that, and there's fairly smooth transitions. This, we're talking probably 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch jump in each tile. So you about imagine what the
Those
top.
bell towers?
Yeah.
I mean, they can't,
Yeah, so that, basically that thing's got to be going through there like this.
how long are the tiles there?
I don't know how far the one runs, but the other one runs,
So, I mean, how long are they?
I think they're 3 foot sections. Would be my guess. That's what your average would be, a 3 foot or 4 foot section.
Would that be because the tile aren't shoved together tight enough?
Well, I think if you get into a wet condition and that is very wet up there. You will have where they'll start sinking if you don't, like, just for example, my brother did the trailer court over there, right by the lake. And they had to run pumps continuously overnight and come back in the morning and put basically road gravel, stacked gravel down in there just to get a base to lay the pipe down on, because if you didn't, it'd sink. And that was industrial, you know, the big 8-inch, 6-inch plastic PVC sewer pipe. And they had a problem with the grade, so that's what they went to.
Well, I know Daryl's always said
They were working on water.
they laid it in
Yeah.
water.
And yet, that's the only way they got around it out there, and I know when they did the motel out there, they had that special machine out there to pump all the water out of it because they couldn't lay the pipe, and they asked my brother how he did it. Just determination and a bunch of sub pumps, they dig a trench and then pump as much water as they could and then come back in my rock in. And they did work in water too. By the time they got done putting the rock in, they were still standing in knee-deep water, so. But they were doing PVC, so you didn't have to worry about every joint and slip joints on those PVC. They go together like about 7 or 8 inches. They slide inside each other, so. But that's a possibility, you know, if somebody could figure out a way to tie that in and eliminate that clay line and tie everybody else into that new line. Or anything that's above Chris Grody's mini storage there, tie in with the new addition. And then everybody else down there, you'd have a shorter run to replace PVC, going to Gus's and on up. I think if you get that filled up, that would.
It sounds like you got a lot of infiltration there.
And I would like to camera that other one and see on that comes out on the west side of that lift station, there's just as much water running through that, if not more coming through there, that's clear water. And you can tell the difference between sewer water and drain water. This stuff's coming out clear. So, and another thing I was going to mention, the majority of the money that's been spent so far on the contract has been for cleaning. Very little of it has been spent on trying to find infiltration problems. I'd probably say 95% of it's all been cleaning. And that was probably about 8 times I've been out doing the cleaning. So, and hopefully there's roughly, I got one more invoice I got to print out, or Shelley's got to print out, but roughly there's $2,400 left total for the year, the remainder of this contract for spring. And if you start doing the camera inspection up there, it'll take, I mean, as far as.
I'd like to discuss this Howell bill a little bit, see if I get the facts right, because I understand when you cleaned it and jetted it, that the lift station wasn't working, and Rick's not here now to confirm this.
But that.
And then when Howell came down, they had the 18 horsepower lift station running, so there'd be a big effect between whether or not they're pumping water up there or not, right?
The last time I rented, I measured it out with the wheel, and I made it all the way down to the alleyway, which is, it was a little over 200 feet, but I just cut it, I run it like 200 feet. When I talked to Hal the first time I was there, that's about how far he ran, was 200 feet, so I got just as far. But I was there 2 other times after that, and one was an issue, they had to redo that pipe with the T with the 2 pumps, and then the T did one and then it went up, that had a crack in it, and they redid that, and then they had to come back. Well, I went in there, and that's the time that I ran the 200 feet in there, and I could get a little bit of water coming back, you know, and that was it. But if I ran my jetter hose in there, no water would come back. If I started pushing down line, because about that driveway is where the transition where it starts to go back downhill, because that lift station pumps up. So, they called Hal whether they needed to or not. I didn't tell them to, but if they, knowing that the pumps were shot, they might have had better luck. Because if you have a pump that's not up to par, you're pushing uphill, it's only going to push it up so far and then it's going to stop. Because it don't have enough to make it over the pump. And as much trash comes out of that sewer, out of cookies with the stuff that they run in there to make taste the seasonings, it's a pretty thick brew when it comes out of there. You can about imagine if you're pushing that up there and none of it's going anywhere and the solids aren't getting out of the line and all the liquid's leaking back through that pipe that was cracked, it was just coming back into the lift station. So any sediments you pump up there are pretty much going to stay in there because And every time you shut it off, everything's gonna pack down to the sub pump. You start back up again, it's gotta push all that stuff up there. So, and something was brought up to the fact that why they had to call out, and I'm like, I didn't even know anything about it. Till somebody brought it up to me. And I didn't know the pumps were shot until one of the city employees told me that they were shot. And that's why they weren't getting any water up there, so. And the other deal, which it kind of bothered me, was with Steve Mack's sewer. That I ran on an average house, and I usually carry 150 foot, and an average lot counter's foot, roughly 150. And I haven't run across one that I can't get yet, as far as lengthwise. I went in there, ran 125 foot out, which put me back into the neighbor's yard, about halfway down their yard. I contacted Rick, which I have the bill here for Roto-Rooter to come and do that, that you run out so far, when does it become a city issue? So I got a hold of Rick. I said, is there a manhole back here, or is there a clean out that I can just run the jetter down? Well, there's no way to get into that pipe, and down, it runs all the way down to the swimming pool. So basically, you've got a block worth of sewer lines that there's no way to get into. Because down at the pool's tied in with it, and it lies in there, and they have 4-inch PVC coming into a 6-inch line with a rubber boot stuck into it. So you basically have a 2-inch or 1.5-inch lip all the way around that 4-inch PVC. And I went in there with my camera, even with the big skid on there, I couldn't get over that 2 inches of jumping. And if you jet from that way, are you going to go to the swimming pool? Or is the swimming pool tied into that on the side and you can run up that way? I don't think you could, even if you can get the jetter in there. It's too much of a transition.
So where that comes together, there's no manhole where it tees?
No. And there's no clean out that I know of, and I think they talked to Pitty, there's no clean out up in between there. And I kind of left that day, I left that in Rick's court, whether they were going to put a clean out in there or not. Because if they have issues further down, are you going to keep going to Mary's house and running 200 or 300 foot of sewer cable down through there? It's kind of an inconvenience for her when it's 200 feet out of the house, when it's per pass the house and halfway down to the pool. So. And another thing, when we were up there, we inspected that line. The other 2 houses that are in that alleyway are tied onto a separate line. And me and Mark were there, we cambered that. That could use some cleaning, because there's a lot of sediment sitting in there, there's hardly any fall. And there is a manhole, I can't think of the guy's name that lives there, but you have, Whitey's here on the corner, and then there's a house, and then there's that, is it Brown?
Dwayne Brown lives up in there somewhere.
Yeah, and right behind his place, there's a manhole, and all those houses are tied onto that runs that way. And that thing's basically flat. But when I ran my camera up through there, when we pulled it back, then it started running water out in the manhole there. It finally drained out when we went up looking at manhole. It's pretty packed. And it's got toilet paper and stuff sitting in the manhole. There's hardly any flow on that, so that might be one thing, would consider maybe cleaning, because it does need it.
Now, when you jet, could they wash those out from the top end? Could they dump water in the manhole?
I can
Wash
pull
them back the other way?
Yeah, I can pull my jetter up there and drop the rest of my water. Usually when I run like a short run like that, I'll have anywhere from 170 gallons left and run it down through there. Or I can hook up my spray hose with my wand and clean that out and wash it out. So, we did one over here at Lakeview on Friday, the main line to come out of the school. It runs down a one-way street, and that's what we did. We dumped the rest of the water that was in my storage tank, which was, I just went and filled it. We had like 120 gallons in there. We dumped down the manhole to clean it out because it had about 4 inches of toilet paper. But that kind of bothered me after I heard that, and I felt kind of bad for Steve because, he said, well, they got him to do it, and then that really didn't solve the issue of getting a clean out in there. So when either one of them have a problem, or it's further down the line, then we have to go through one of their houses. And like I said, they run 150 foot out. Usually I carry 150 foot cable that we had some on over. Never got it back and let you know that what he decided to do. I was up front with her, I told him I read 125 feet out, and I said, this is about where I figure where I'm at. And I couldn't, you know, that was all the further I could go at the time. So, it kinda bothered me that,
Well, one of our things on this contract was inflow. Do you think you'll be able to find sump pumps that would be pumping in? This is the time of year, you know, when it's
Yeah.
start pumping.
well, I think if you go up there in camera, right up to their or right out to where their drop's at, and they've got a very large amount of water running out there, usually you can tell whether it's clear water or not. If they're flushing their toilet or whatever, you're gonna have toilet paper, it's gonna be 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons of water at the most coming out of there, and then it's gonna stop. It'll go down to nothing. It'll increase, go down to nothing. But it's a steady stream coming out, the length of, you know, however long your sub pump's running, but you should be able to figure that out. If there's water running out of there and there's no toilet paper, and it's running for 30, 40 seconds solid. Another thing I told Rick, I said with this new water meter thing, with going with the easy read thing, that end of the town up there, if you're worried about water infiltration, people have the sub pumps, you have a right to come in and put a new water meter in. That gives you an opportunity to get in and look around. If they got a sub pump in there, if it's not directly hooked up outside and it's just laying there 9 times out of 10, they're probably dumping it right down the floor drain. So,
I'd like to address that issue if I could.
Ready, John?
There's about 3 or 4 cities that I know of that have an ordinance that basically says that the city's gonna come in and check your house for sump pumps and see where they drain. And as an owner, you have the opportunity to say no. And their ordinance reads that if you're not allowed to come in and check, that they just automatically add $30 a month to your water bill. Or to your sewer bill, one of the, I think sewer bill. And I was wondering if we would entertain that kind of ordinance. Because there's just absolutely no reason to be running sump pumps down the sewer system. We have plenty of water in our lagoons already. The option, of course, is to build some more lagoons, but pretty expensive. And really, that's not an option. If you look at the DNR and what they're projecting and what they're doing, they're saying they don't want rainwater and sewage mixed together. They don't care if you got $25 billion or 25 billion gallons of storage. They don't want, you know, rainwater and sewer to be in the same pipe. So, I mean, building another lagoon, it's just really not really an issue. It's to them. And even the people that have the plants, Lakeview, Grove, you know, process water, they don't want the rainwater running through their process plant. It's a big red flag and they're gonna stop it.
I thought didn't we smoke them?
Yeah, but some of those are so hard to detect because, you know, it's a totally enclosed system, so you're not gonna get smoke up in the house, most of the time anyway.
well, you get smoke inside the house if they don't have vents in their, or the plugs in their floor drain. If they got their plugs out, it'll smoke it right into the house.
Well, you did look at
Well, you
a
get-
house like mine, though, when I bought my house, mine ran just right into the sewer pipe, and my floor drains ran into the sump pump, and my sewer runs out the side wall. So you'd never get smoke in my house.
Your sewer ain't low, you're up off the floor where your sewer goes out.
Yeah.
That's the same way Bill Howard's is up there.
Yeah, so
They
my
dug that.
floor drain, always, it was hooked up, so it pumped into the sanitary sewer. And the floor drains ran into the sump pump. So yeah, my floor drains were not connected to the sewer system at all.
And you'll run into that a lot with some of the sewer lines up on that end of the town that aren't that deep. If they got a basement, chances are their floor drains aren't gonna be going into the sewer line. Like Betty McCart has a lift station in her basement that lifts. It'd be right next to Dan's. It lifts and goes up and then goes out because her basement's lower than the sewer. Well, John's familiar with that.
There is one up there that needs to be, and I know it comes from that direction, there's a tile that comes in that manhole. That the last time we looked at it, there was a pretty steady flow of water, but nobody knows where it's coming from, I'm sure. It takes off from that manhole, it goes kind of northwest.
Down there on the
And
corner.
Todd Gillies.
Between Gullets and Marlins is that manhole.
Well, there is a storm drain that runs down through there that's been there probably before even the town was here. That, I was talking to Bill Howard about it, he said one of these days you're gonna have issues. It also runs down by Karma's,
Yeah.
behind Karma's, and she runs the sub pump down in her basement 24/7, and it doesn't shut off. It pumps water out of her basement, out into the yard, and if you go by there in the wintertime, there's a puddle of water out there. I mean, she's pumping that much water out of her basement nonstop.
Really?
And that runs right back behind her place.
Well, she's in the lowest spot in the area there too, you know, I mean.
And one thing I mentioned to her is if she went down there and unplugged her sub pump and had everything shut off and then listen. Because if she had from the shut off to the house, if there's a leak in the water line, you should be able to hear that humming at the water meter inside the house. You'll hear that. If it's squirting out, it's basically creating a cavity in there. You can hear that water shooting.
I don't think it's a leak, I mean,
Yeah.
that house, the fire department has pumped that basement over years, what they tell me.
There's a big, like I say, there's a big storm drain that goes, my yard right underneath it, so.
Yeah.
That's the one that comes from in front of my house
Yeah.
too, and it doesn't take water worth a darn.
The funeral home over here, that had a water leak. That was something I mentioned to her because she was kind of concerned about it, you know, it's,
Now, can you camera storm sewers?
I can, if you can get me into an open spot, I can run down it. If it's a bigger pipe, we can get a skid to put on there with wheels that would run down through it.
Yeah, yours never even drains, does it? Oh, yours.
I thought they dug that up.
If we get, it doesn't matter, if you get 2 inches of rain in an hour,
No,
I'm
that
done.
night I drove by your place, it was up to the door of my truck when I drove by your place.
Yeah,
out there.
that's when I get water in my basement, so does Donna, so does,
And that all comes up there from Gullett's up there, because the water doesn't go down the storm drains up there either.
well, it just all backs up. We're trying to dump too much water into it because we keep adding on the north end of town and bringing their water down and filling our
Well, I
pipes
don't
up.
think,
See,
I
that's
don't
what
think the one
happens.
on Rose Corner works. I think that one right there will puddle up, and then it just comes across the road and comes down towards your place. When I drove up through there, when all that water was there was water standing up there by the,
Yeah, usually it plugs at mine first, so I think it's a backup situation.
Oh, okay.
Usually it plugs at mine first, and then plugs up there.
Isn't corner by the old gas station, I thought that was a 24-inch pipe that went down to the.
Well, if we could get water to it, it would run.
Oh,
It does, somewhere between my place and there, it doesn't get
It
there.
doesn't get there.
well, maybe it's Carmen's.
So that way they could start cameraing in your, or that, what is that, Donna's yard, there's
There's a
a
spot
manhole,
there.
is that correct?
There's no.
Yeah.
Or a drain, camera that and camera south and see what's going on.
What I didn't understand is when they dug that up in that alleyway, if they were working on that, they should have had me up there and why they had it open, which I could have just basically went down the hole with that camera and stood in front of it and ran down or up both ways and checked why it was open. That would have been a heck of a lot, you know. Anytime they dig anything like that up, like when they dig a sewer up, when I have a customer that they dig their sewer up, I'll actually, when they open the pipe up, I'll go back and run both ways and make sure they're just fixing a spot that the line's, you know, if it's open, you might as well.
And nobody even knows where it goes, from where they dug it up to get to
Well,
dump, you know, nobody knows where that
If you
goes.
go on the Beacon, it's beacon.com, it has, it also has, streets, it has lot lines, everything on it, also has drainage. And it shows you, like on the farmland up through here, like, Kevin at the bank, down here at the West Side Bank, I think it's Kevin. His house has 2 tile that run on either side of it, because he was asking about, he's got a wet spot in his backyard, but there's a tile on either side, farm tile on either side of his house that runs down through there in that cul-de-sac up there.
Yeah, if you go up to the top of that hill and look, it was all washed out, it's a ravine.
Yeah, but I just, you know, I go on, I kind of was looking on there just to see who owned what for land around here. Because when Howie was looking, I was kind of looking around to see who had land, or, you know, there was a spot here that somebody had some land that probably we could sell. I noticed that was one of the things you could look at was the storm. There's also one that runs down through Cleo's, fill tile. Right along the mini storage there, there's one that runs down and goes down towards Gussie's house down
I
there.
think there's plenty of them in my neighborhood.
Maybe that's the tile coming in that.
Because some of the people that I talked to say that a long, long time ago, my place used to be a swamp.
Yeah. See up in the north end there by the highway, there's some type of cistern or something that sits up in there somewhere. It's not supposed to be hooked up. I I don't know where it's at for sure, there is one in that area.
We're getting back to over there by the pool and Max, so shouldn't we put a clean out somewhere over there?
I would suggest, right where, I suppose right where Max comes in and hooks on would probably be the best place. Because that way you could shoot from there all the way down. And it probably wouldn't hurt to maybe have one a little further down, because that is a pretty long run. If you, I haven't stepped it off or measured it, but that's probably more than 400 foot. And I can't get from it the other way because it's tied in with the pool on a Y, and you don't want to jet it and then end up in the bathrooms at the pool, so.
Well, this would be my comment. I think we got plenty of work to be done on your contract. I think you and Chris should get together and maybe Rick and work out a plan for us and see what you think. I mean, from the numbers you gave us last year, you should have used up your, with all the issues we have going on.
Rick asked me to clean duplicates on your street down. We have an issue there like Thanksgiving last year.
Is that got where Cleveland's apartments are at?
No, it's on the opposite side of the street. There's that manhole.
Yeah.
They're down towards Weber's Reynolds there, and Favor's house is on the corner. You wanted me to clean that, get that cleaned up, because they had some issues there. As a routine, and something that might be considered with the amount of food that's going down through the nursing home's garbage system. I mean, there's a lot of garbage getting stuck down.
Well, Chris will contact you and set up a meeting between you and him and Rick Hockey.
Okay.
Well, Kenny, thanks for coming to give us a report. That's, that's a lot of stuff that we didn't know was going on, so, thank you.
Do you guys want to watch that video, or you want to cut it short? I don't know how many of you are going down to the fire station.
Actually, it sits upstairs.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I'd like to see it sometime.
I'm out of the loop most of the time. Don't get out that often.
You gotta come up out of the hole.
How long the film is it, or whatever?
It's just it's probably, I can fast forward through it, and I can show you the manhole, or the fill tile running in. And that'd give you a good idea of how that camera works, because I know there were some questions about the quality of the camera and the picture, so. And Rob's seen it in action down there at the store, so. I'll, if you guys don't mind, it'll take a second to set it up, and either that or we can do it another time.
Well, where's our DVD player? That's upstairs, isn't it?
The coding on that one, I'm gonna have to transfer it over and record out, and I'll do another DVD player, because the coding on that will not allow it to play on my laptop, so I'm guessing, and I didn't discover this till the other day, that coding, or it may be just my laptop with that issue, so.
Our DVD player's upstairs, though. We're gonna have to wait and look at it another time. The fireman's meeting's
That's got a camera, or a TV screen on it.
It does?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'll just plug it in quick, let you guys look at this.